We want to welcome you here tonight for the first of we hope many other Meet the Board of Education candidates forum tonight. We know that it's very important for educators to meet the candidates because these are the people, once they're elected, that affect our lives. So we greatly appreciate you taking the time out of your evening to come and spend it with us. We're trying to do this as professional as possible. These are our two moderators. They are members of Mr. Allen's Junior Statesmen of America Club. They are very actively involved in the government and the process, and they are our moderators. We're going to start this evening by having each of these individuals introduce themselves and speak for approximately 2 minutes, telling us something about themselves and why they are going to be running for the Board of Education. And then after that, we have a series of questions that we are going to ask them. They will be given a lot of time to answer them, and that's karate upstairs. So we'll begin with who's your first.
Hi everyone, my name is Selena Chapman, and I'll be one of your moderators. For introduction, we'll have 2 minutes, and for questions, we'll have 1 minute. The timing, you can see from her hand signals. The C, if you put the C up, will be for 30 seconds, and then she will put 10 fingers up for 10 seconds left. Please do not exceed your timing. We need everyone to have their turn.
Hi guys, I'm Adnan Chalet, and we have a list of 9 questions. And so the way this will work, the first question will go to the Democrats, and once we go down the line, the second question will be for the Republicans, and so forth. And then we'll go back to the top of the list so that each candidate will have a chance to answer all of the questions.
We'll go back and forth from arguing the questions. So we'll start Democrats with the first question first, then the Republicans with the first question first, and then vice versa with the various questions.
Okay, so we're going to begin with Adam Robinson. Along with candidate introductions, what previous experience or background do you have that most qualifies you to be a member of the Shelton Board of Education? What will be your top 2 priorities once elected to the Board of Education?
Hi, my name is Adam Robinson. I've been a resident of Shelton for over 30 years. I'm a product of the Shelton schools, attending Sunnyside, Lafayette, SIS, and Shelton High School. I hold a master's degree in music education. I've worked as a public school music teacher at Wisconsin Middle School in Brookfield, Connecticut for those last 19 years. I've participated in committees, hiring principals, teachers, scheduling committees, and I have 2 sons in Shelton Public Schools, so I'm invested in our schools. Thank you.
Go down the line.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm Dave Juello, and I've been a resident of Shelton since 1981. Married, 2 adult children. I've got a bachelor's and master's degree. Probably my most unique qualifications for being on the Board of Education is I've been a consultant to the Board of Ed for more than 20 years in the area of environmental issues, asbestos, lead, and indoor air quality. I'm probably the only candidate here who has crawled through all the tunnels in the elementary schools and in Perry Hill, and I've been on all the roofs because of my consulting to the Board of Ed. My main focus is academics. That's what our educational system is all about. That's what our commitment should be to the students, and that's what I will work for, is to bring the highest level of academic achievement possible for our kids.
To thank you first of all for inviting us here. It's really a privilege and so happy to see you. A nice crowd here tonight. I've lived in Shelton for, well, since 1972. I can do the math. And my son went through the school system. He graduated, and he went on to receive a bachelor's degree at art school in music. I have been involved for many years in PTAs, as a treasurer and as a past vice president. And one of the things that my most recent accomplishment was working for the Board of Ed in the finance department for about 10 years in charge of payroll. Some of you may remember that. what makes me want to, well, first of all, I'm a member of the Board of Ed, and I have been one for 2 years, and I was a member of AT prior to that. So I wish to continue that. First of all, I enjoy it. Secondly, I think it's very important. Our school system is a very important asset to the city of Shelton, and our students are a very important asset to us. And so are our teachers. And one of the things that I would like to see is that the public have a more outward appearance of appreciation for our teachers and our school system. And they get the respect that they deserve. So that's something I've always been thinking.
Hi, I'm Kate Kutach. I'm running for my 3rd term as a member of the Shelton Board of Education. My husband Steve and I, he's a native of Shelton. We've been in Shelton for 19 years, and both of our daughters, Kelly and Sarah, are products of Shelton schools. When we first moved to Shelton, I quickly became involved in the PTA at Elizabeth Shelton School. But as a working parent, there were limited opportunities as to how I could get involved. So Jay Dowdy, who was president at the time, made me the rep to the Shelton Board of Education. So I have technically been regularly attending board meetings since 1997. I continue to be an active parent as long as my kids were in Shelton Public Schools. I was president of the SSPTA, 3 years as PTA council president. I was an active drama and band parent. As we neared the end of our public school years, I was approached to run for the board. As an elementary school teacher in Stratford for 38 years, this is definitely a position for which I feel qualified and knowledgeable. I was first elected in 2009. I served 2 years and narrowly missed re-election in 2011. But I had enjoyed the position so much I sought re-election again 2 years later in 2013. I need your vote to be returned again this year. In my years on the board, I have served on the Building and Grounds Committee, as co-chair of Policy, Curriculum, and Technology Committee, and as chair of the Cafeteria and Transportation Committee when those committees existed. Now we've consolidated. I'm currently a member of the Policy and the Teaching and Learning Committees. I attend all other committee meetings, and I have a near 100% attendance rate, even on committees I don't belong to. I'm a graduate of Western Connecticut State College and Southern Connecticut University with bachelor's, master's, and 6-year degrees in education. As a teacher and a parent, I can feel I truly understand the concerns of teachers, parents, and students in Shelton.
Good evening, everyone. I remarked to Kate how this feels very deja vu because as former PTA council presidents in town, we hosted forums just like this. I know Mr. Drozak's in the audience, he was an alternate at the time, so he can remember that also. My name is Arlene Lazinski. I've been on the board for 16 years. I started as a parent at Booth Hill, became PTA president. I've been a huge proponent and advocate of public education. I kind of follow my motto. I certainly follow, I practice what I preach is what I basically try to do. I've been an education advocate since we moved here in 1990. I have 2 daughters, both have graduated from the Shelton School System. My oldest is Kate, who went on to Boston University and is now working for a company in Boston. My youngest is a 4th grade teacher in Hopkinton, Massachusetts. And certainly education in our home has been something that has been a very, very high priority. I've owned 2 businesses, one of which was in Shelton here. I used to own White Hills Wine and Spirits, for those of you who may have visited at one point in time. I have been a very active board member. Like Kate, I attend just about every meeting. I think I've missed 1 meeting in the 14 years I've been on since, and that was due to a surgery that I had, which I had no choice. I also attend and been very active in all of our committees, attending any committee meeting, regardless of whether I'm on that committee or not, just so I have a breadth of knowledge of what's going on. I also am president of CES, which is Cooperative Educational Services in Trumbull. I represent Shelton on that board, which is including all of Fairfield County boards of educations. So I've been extremely active, and I'm honored to be here tonight. Thank you.
good evening. I want to thank the Shelton Education Association and the Junior States of America and everyone coming out tonight. Thank you for hosting this forum. I'm Ann Gatos. I'm running for the Board of Education because I strongly believe in the value of an excellent public education. I have a daughter, Samantha. She's a first grader at Sunnyside, so I have a vested interest in the quality of our school system. I enjoy volunteering. I'm a room parent and also a PTO member, so I enjoy being involved at the school level. I've been in the business role for 20 years as a self-employed graphic designer, dealing with diverse clients and budget challenges. My goal, if elected, is to be an advocate for our children. It is a tough world out there, and it is our job to prepare them well for it. I will ensure that we place the needs of our children first, as every child is important, and every child only has one chance to get a great education. I view board membership as a job, attendance is critical, and would commit the time and energy necessary to do that job well. Serving on the Board of Education would be an honor and a worthwhile and rewarding way to volunteer my time and give back to the community. Thank you.
Okay, I'm Mark Holden. First off, I hope everybody can hear me. I understand that our superintendent and mayor are having a little discussion about future budget needs. I care greatly about the quality of education we provide to our students. Nobody attends more Board of Education meetings and subcommittee meetings than me. I take my responsibilities seriously. I try to be a voice of reason, consider all options so the best decisions can be made. I'm a fiscal conservative, but I'm not a cheapskate. I've supported our program improvement requests. This is the most expensive election for me ever. I've spent about $25. Maybe I am a cheapskate. But my primary campaign tactic is to do a good job. I believe we've accomplished a lot. Our student achievement is higher than in most districts in the state, and our per pupil cost is in the lowest 7% in the state. In our district reference group, we have the lowest per pupil spending, and our student achievement is well above the midpoint. I attribute our success to the fact that almost every person on our team, from teachers to administrators to board members, genuinely cares and tries to deliver the best for our students. I don't claim to have all of the answers. No one does. It's why we elect a team of 9. I don't really care what the best answer is, as long as we find it before we have to make a decision. I'm running for my 3rd term on the Board of Education, and I do hope that you will vote for me, as I enjoy serving on the Board of Education and doing my best to support public education in Shelton. Thank you.
Thank you everyone for coming, and I want to thank the Shelton Education Association for offering us this opportunity. I know how teachers and staff members need time to do their homework at night, because I know it's not done during the day, so I appreciate it. I have been a board member for 6 years, and I'm seeking my 4th term. Before I was a board member, I had taught in Shelton for 35 years at Ferry School, Sunnyside School, Lafayette School, and Elizabeth Shelton. I also worked at Mohegan School in grades 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So I kind of have a good idea of what's going on in the schools. Now, when I retired from teaching, I got called back to be a liaison type of representative to do publishing for Shelton Life and to write articles. So then I became very knowledgeable of what was going on in all of the schools, and I was amazed. I could not have enough. I wish I had more time and more space to do more articles. I presently volunteer at Long Hill School in grades 2. Well, I did 2, now I'm doing 1, and I do 3 and 4. In addition to that, I'm still writing articles with with Shelton Life Magazine doing all the educational articles. I have served as the ad hoc chairman for the kindergarten committee and was instrumental in bringing out the board of aldermen on a minibus trip to Seymour to see what was going on in Bungay School, and I think that was one of the turning points for us to have all-day kindergarten. I'm chairman of the policy committee, and I'm also on the teaching and learning, and I do attend all the other committee meetings as well.
Thank you.
Okay, sorry, big talker.
Hi everyone, I'd like to thank Ms. Keller too, and the teachers that are here, the students, and all of our citizens out to listen to us. I know the teachers have papers to correct and work to do. I'm Dr. Darlisa Ritter. My family's been in Shelton for 5 generations on the same property, so we go back quite a ways. I've got 2 doctorates in administration and human resources, educational leadership, and I've done the gamut from soup to nuts. An educational course was out there, I was at it. Some of the things that I have gotten known for was winning the Milken Award, the National Milken Award. We've never had a Milken Award in the entire valley, and here's the Nobel Prize. You don't know that you're even getting it. They examine all of your activities, your commitment levels, and then they have some kind of national score sheet, and that's how they come to that. It was a total surprise. I've also done 17 years as chairperson and board member of the Celebration of Excellence Committee. This program was from the State Department. I've done a lot of activities at the State Department. As president, I had to be responsible for collecting all kinds of applications for jobs, programs, creativity in the classroom. I moved into funding, and then I went to the BEST program for assessing teachers, became a leader in the BEST program for many years. Along with that, I was also chosen as a delegate to go down to Hurricane Andrew. 31 schools were totally devastated, and so my experience there was trying to help them build up their school system from virtually nothing.
Thank you.
Okay.
Good evening, everyone. Again, thank you for taking your time to come out tonight and listen to the candidates offer their Thank you. Again, cooperation among our team, board members. Again, my name is Thomas Minotti. I want to again thank you for coming out tonight, taking the time to come and listen to us, and hopefully pick the right candidates for the Board of Education. My background is simply the fact that I have been an educator for 38 years. I have 8 grandchildren, 3 of which have graduated Shelton Public Schools. The other 5 are still in our school system. The other 3 have graduated college. At this point, I'd also like to say that during my tenure as a mathematics teacher, 38 years in Bridgeport, I was a teacher of mathematics, a department chairman, and then a director of mathematics for all the high schools, including grades 7 and 8. My background, again, with the Board of Education, I've been on the Board of Ed for 8 years. I'm looking forward to go back to the Board of Ed to continue with the progress that we have been making. I am a member of the Finance Committee. I am a member of and chairman of the Teaching and Learning Committee, and I'm also vice chairman of the Board of Education. My major focus is to continue with the quality of education and look forward to more student improvement. Thank you.
attended Shelton Public Schools. I graduated from Shelton High School. I hold an associate's degree and also a bachelor's degree in industrial technology and management from Central Connecticut State University. I'm employed currently as a consultant project manager in the construction industry. I'm also a licensed master electrician. I've served in the past on various building committees for the city and want to bring my expertise in facilities operation, physical plant administration, because I feel we need that. The school system makes up most of the structure of Shelton's infrastructure of buildings. And I feel that with my experience, I could take and oversee our operations and provide some guidance. I'm hoping that I could secure a seat on the board. I have not been on the board in the past, and to keep an eye on how our educational dollars are spent, keeping the best interest of Shelton's children forefront. That's what's most important.
My name is Jay Francino Quinn. Certainly currently serving on the board, and like with Ms. Yolish, I'm on my fourth term, or sixth, I'm sorry, yeah, seeking my fourth term, 6 years on the board, where I served, on the Building and Grounds Committee, Athletics Committee. I'm also a U.S. Army veteran. I have background in radio communications, and also as a paramedic, I've got a lot of extensive training. Certainly public safety, security, and so forth. I am certainly, just like the rest of us, do believe in the education of our children, and do believe that teachers are the vehicle of that education, and certainly are most important in helping our kids become better educated. Certainly, if I can get reelected, we certainly help to be a foster for good education.
Thank you and good evening, and thanks again to the SEA for inviting us here. My name is Win Oppel. I'll let you read my resume, which is in the handout. I'm running for another term for several reasons. First, I believe that we still have good work to be done to prepare our students for the challenges that they face in this complex and competitive global environment. We have worked to make certain that we can continue to raise our educational standards, which in turn raises our educational successes. Second, I believe that I can continue to contribute in a very positive fashion to the conversations that we have at the board level regarding budgets, technology, staffing, and student success. The business side of our system does drive the educational side, whether we like it or not. And third, but surely not last, is that 7 of my soon-to-be 13 grandchildren have started or will be starting in Shelton Public Schools shortly. And as all parents and grandparents wish, I want them to have the best educational opportunities possible. I will continue to press for expanded and enhanced programs that afford all of them and all of Shelton's students the best chances to excel. We have a good educational system here at Shelton because we have great teachers and administrators, many of whom go above and beyond to make certain that the young minds in their care are stretched, challenged, directed, and shaped to look at the problems from a different point of view, to be able to think and to learn, to be unafraid to fail, and to be confident and considerate. I'm very proud to be part of this team.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll be moving on to questions. The way questions will work is I will first ask Ann Matos, and then we'll go on to Adam Robinson, and you two will both answer the same question. I will move on to the next question, and start with David Fiello, and then go to Mark Holden with the same question, move on to the next question, and so on. So the first question for you, Ann, is what is your philosophy on student attendance in our schools? Are changes needed to our attendance policy?
Well, first of all, attendance is obviously the most important for success in school. If there's an issue with attendance, then my daughter's in first grade, so I'm not familiar with what the policy is for high school and middle school, but just as a parent, and the expectations is that you're expected to show med school. And if there is, I would assume if there's any excuse that would be, you know, a valid excuse that would be honored. Otherwise, you know, there would have to be options to look into for either making up the time or penalize for it.
And just a correction, we asking the same question to everyone instead of each and every candidate. So.
I also agree that attendance is very important. As a teacher myself, I see how far behind the student can fall by missing 1 or 2 days of school. So we need to encourage our students to attend school as often as possible. Again, my sons are elementary school age, so I'm not quite sure what the attendance policy is after that. But I would expect that all students will do their best and the parents will do their best to get their kids to school every day.
All right, obviously attendance is important. However, there are limits to what the school system can do. Are we going to suspend a kid because he miss more school because he cut a class? Our Infinite Campus program or system does send out an alert to parents when a student misses a class or if they're not in school. And frankly, we need the help of the parents to make sure that their kids show up in the classroom. It's real simple. We do have a new person who is dealing with the truancy issue in the district. My understanding is this person is doing a fantastic job for us and making some strides. We'll get more information as the year progresses.
Thanks. Both my children are in their 30s, so attendance in class is not an issue any longer. I guess it becomes the responsibility of the parents to get them there and to see that they attend class. The school has to communicate with the parents about the attendance policy and whether or not the kids are showing up. And so it's communications and it's parent responsibility. It's parent responsibility throughout, you know, whatever the issue is. You know, the parents have got to be involved and knowledgeable about what's happening.
Kathy Ellis,
obviously, I feel very strongly that we have a problem with absenteeism. I am chairman of the policy committee, and I know that at our high school level, we've discussed this problem. I'm going to try to go fast so that I don't see this. And I know that the semester at the high school, there's 10 absences, and the 11th one, they lose privileges, and then for the year there's 20. Well, that's more than 10% of students learning. Now, the state just sent me, which I'm chairman of policy, they sent down a memo from the government, which is going to be a new incentive called Every Student, Every Day, and it's going to address chronic absenteeism. And it's supposedly every board of education will, by January 1st, 2016, they'll have to come up with a plan, and we will have to have a committee to do it.
Thank you. Your turn, please, Pat.
We've all agreed that attendance is important. I mean, teachers cannot teach to empty seats. So, one thing about attendance and arriving anywhere on time, not just in school, but in your future life when you go into the workplace, it gives you a pride in your quote-unquote job. And it is the job of our children to attend school and to be present and to be there to be able to be taught. As far as the attendance policies are concerned, they're always under some kind of refurbishment. So I'm not so certain what we actually need to do at this time, but we need to start early to let children know it's their job to go to school and let them go have tried at their jobs.
Hi. I believe in attendance, absolutely. But I also think that we have to take a look at the changing world around us. There may be other ways to give perfect attendance. And I also think that we need to find out why. Why are these students not coming? Why are they being late? Is there a home problem? Is there something wrong with our programs? there's always a reason. They just don't get up in the morning and say, I'm not going today, although they may express that when they're little, but there's always a reason behind it, and I think it's our responsibility to try to dig and delve and find out why. And I think that will have a lot of influence on future attendance policies. Again, reiterating, we need to incorporate technology and other ways. I mean, there's Skyping and a lot of stuff that you can do.
Thank you. And Ms. Kate Kudash?
As a teacher, I firsthand see the effect that absenteeism and chronic tardiness has on learning, just trying to catch kids up with what they miss. Some of it lies on the parents, and of course the school has to follow through. Just tonight I had a conversation with a mother because of a phone conference and discovered her daughter hadn't been to school for 2 days simply because their family car was in an accident. And she didn't have a way of getting her there. So we've got to get to the root of the problem quickly so they miss less time.
Thank you. Mr. Donovan?
Thank you. Attendance is definitely a must. What we could do remains to be seen. I know Kathy alluded to the fact that the state has sent down some policies yet to be discussed within committee. But in my opinion, first of all, I'd like to say that you have to value education. If you don't value education, then you have the option of not going to school. Valuing education comes from the home. The teachers only have students for 6.5, 7 hours a day. They impose on them all of the learning and the academics along with the socialism necessary to grow. But attendance is all important. As an adjunct professor at the University of Bridgeport, I see the absentee rate there. And again, I attribute it to the fact that they don't care. Sorry.
And Sally?
I certainly agree with everybody the fact that it is a parent's responsibility. I don't think there's a parent in this room that's had a son or daughter wake up and had to deal with a child who didn't make, for whatever reason, want to go to school that day. It's a parent's responsibility to make sure that child is fed and dressed properly, and then I think it's that child's responsibility, certainly when they get into school, to be willing to learn. They can't do that, certainly at home. There has to be a tremendous amount of communication between the parent and the school system, because certainly schools can't help out if there is an issue if they don't know about it. But I think the ultimate responsibility lies with the parent, for the most part, given the fact that there might be an illness or some other extenuating factor that perhaps the school system doesn't know. And you know what, it translates into your job further on down the line. So, and I think that's a value you have to teach your child, that they must be attending school, they have to attend their jobs, and move forward.
Yes. Attendance basically teaches you responsibility and reliability for the rest of your life. It's the foundation of what's going to make you successful for the rest of your life. And students and parents need to understand. So I'm sure a lot of parents, for some reason, maybe don't show that much interest in their children, but it's something that does have to be addressed. And as educators seeing this, it should be something that is pursued to correct the students that aren't doing that, because basically you're setting them up for future failure if you don't teach them to be responsible while they're young and just forming their pattern for the rest of their life.
Thank you. Mr. James,
certainly as everyone here, I also firmly believe that attendance is absolutely important. As a parent, to one that's in college now who graduated from Shelton school system, one that is currently going to be graduating in the next couple of years, I certainly see exactly how different things within the school system can affect what's going on in their academic lives. But certainly without a doubt, attendance is absolutely paramount. If there are mitigating circumstances, as also just kind of echoing my colleagues here, Certainly, as a parent and the school system at large, certainly we need to figure out what the problem is. Why doesn't the kid feel like the child want to go to school? What's the circumstances involved in them not wanting to go to school if that is in fact the case? Thank you.
Mr. Lenapple?
When we talk about absenteeism, you have to look at a couple of things. Number one, parent involvement and parent engagement. And it's gotten more difficult from the time that I sat in the classroom. But we have to find different ways to engage parents and so that they understand that their child needs to be in that room every day. The flip side of that, unfortunately, is a mandate from the state. There's a state statute that spells out what you can do with attendance and tardiness. So even though they may be asking us to make recommendations, until they change the statute, we'll be unable to enact stricter attendance policies in the district.
Okay, thank you. So one thing, if you feel as if one of your colleagues has addressed the issue and they've said everything that you feel was on your mind, you have the option of asking the question and not answering. So now we'll move on to the second question. And Mr. Adam Robinson, do you feel it is important for the Board of Education members to attend all meetings? Would your schedule allow you to attend afternoon or evening school activities to meet with students, parents, teachers, and administrators?
I absolutely think it's important for board members to attend all meetings, and I was very happy to hear some of the current members say that they attend subcommittee meetings, even the ones that for subcommittees that they are not on. I think you need to be as up on all of the issues facing the board at all times. And yes, my schedule will allow me to attend Board of Ed meetings, subcommittee meetings, and even school functions at the various schools. That will not be an issue. Thank you.
Ms. Andrews?
Yes, I will be able to fully attend meetings. I work from home, so my schedule is flexible. Like I said before, I view the Board of Education as a job, and in order to do your job, you have to show up. So I fully intend to attend all meetings and subcommittee meetings.
Mr. David Giello?
That wasn't bad. Having my own consulting company with my wife and daughter, certainly my schedule is very flexible. But I want to say that I think that important board meetings, whether they be committee meetings or so forth, should take into consideration the schedule of those members of the meeting so that it's convenient for them to attend. Not everybody has a flexible schedule, so you need to take that into consideration when meetings are scheduled.
Mr. Holden?
Okay, well, obviously I believe attendance is important. I don't recall if I mentioned it. I have missed one committee meeting for each of our 3 committees, and otherwise I have perfect attendance this term. Decisions are made by people who are present in the room, and so it's a big priority for me, and I've done it in the past. I'll continue to do it. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, I attend the Teaching and Learning Committee. I'm a member of that. At the time I joined, I was elected, we had to be on 2 committees. I'm also on the Finance Committee, which is where my background really is. And of course, teaching and learning, I have a lot to learn, and I'm still learning. I go to all the policy meetings, and yes, we should attend as many meetings as we possibly could. I am retired, so I go in the morning, I go to gym twice a week, and I have plenty of time to attend the board meetings. I go to expulsion hearings, which is not a daily part, I must tell you, as well as transportation hearings. And I'm able to do that because I am available during the day, and that's when all these things take place. So yes, I do go and I enjoy going. Thank you.
Ms. Kathy Olish?
All right, well, I also attend the majority of the Board of Ed meetings as well as subcommittee meetings. I'm chairman of policy. I obviously go to those 100%, and I'm on Teaching and Learning Committee, which I also attend. Additionally, I do attend the finance meetings each month as often as I can, which is usually a majority of the time. I sit on expulsion hearings, which I will agree with Mrs. Hack. It's not an easy thing to do. It's probably the most difficult job that I've encountered. I also sit on transportation hearings. Schools invite me to attend functions during the day, and I know my fellow board mates, not everyone can attend because they are working or whatever, but I do get out into the schools, and I go to many of the functions that I'm invited to, both during the day and the night.
As previously stated, I have almost 100% record attending committees and general meetings. Meetings are scheduled and so that most of us can make it, and things like expulsion hearings and things that are held during the day, there's always someone available to cover them. I am at Board of Ed functions often 2 or 3 nights out of the week and continue to add them to my schedule where possible. So obviously I've proven in the past I can do it, and I will continue.
Hi, thanks. I think it's very important for board members to attend everything that they can. I'm a retired person. I've only been retired for a few years, and my husband recently died, so I have a lot of time on my hands. And I don't feel as a position on this board is a job. It's a passion for me. It's a privilege and an honor to continue to serve the students and the parents that I've had for years and years and years, and now the next generations of them. And I'll tell you, I really want to emulate this lady sitting next to me, because she has done and continues to do so much. I've been following her around, shadowing her, and I've never seen anybody work so hard for the Board of Ed. Every school, for every single week and function. Phenomenal, and I hope I can get to be like her.
Thank you. Arlen Lisinski?
Obviously, it's very, very important, and I seriously take that responsibility very seriously. When I first started on the board, I worked full-time in Greenwich, and I always made time out of my schedule. I was very fortunate to have a great employer that was willing to let me reschedule my work time so I could attend meetings. And I do attend everything, even the committees I'm not on. But it goes one step further, and just as teachers have professional development, so does board members. And I try to attend as many CABE events, which is Connecticut Association of Boards of Ed. In fact, we have in November a convention coming up, which I faithfully always attend every year, as many of us do, board members. It's a 2-day time out of our time. And I think it's important because if you're not in the educational realm, or if you're not a PTA mom, or what have you, it's very difficult to kind of pick up and run with the ball if you're not in the educational realm. So that's the way we learn.
Thank you. Attendance is extremely important on all committees and at all Board of Education meetings, because if you're not there, you don't know what's going on, and therefore you're not exercising the right vote when it comes time for a vote. I am chairman of the Teaching and Learning Committee, one of the most dynamic committees. I am also a member of the Finance Committee, and I also served with Mrs. Yolish as an ad hoc committee member for the full-day kindergarten.
Thank you. Mr. Boyko?
I've served on other committees, and attendance is very, very important. One thing that we should do to bring this into the future, if we're not already doing it, is we got to be user-friendly to the rest of us, but also to our parents and teachers. What we should do is bring the technology of Skype into this in case somebody does have a business commitment but does not want to miss out on a meeting. And we also should stream it in using the internet so more parents, even though they have a busy schedule, can see what their board is doing from home. We should be able to utilize our students and the TV production facilities and IT stuff that we already have in place and move ourselves into the future and make us more transparent.
Thank you. Mr. Francino?
Okay, certainly, I do as well believe that the attendance is important. Myself, unfortunately, in the past, I've attended many of the meetings, that I needed to attend. Unfortunately, in the past year or two, my job has changed. I work as an audiovisual technician for Unilever. With the world economy being what it is, their requirements have changed quite a lot, and therefore meetings that they have, they certainly look forward to me being there. I am the only one that does provide the technology. As Mr. Boyko said, that certainly gives me unique experience and knowledge to be able to know how to be able to stream meetings so that every board member, if they're unable to attend, can get the information that they need, as well as parents, students, and teachers.
Thank you. Mr. Owen?
The reality is, if you're not in the room and you're not part of the conversation, you can't be part of the solution. So for 10 years, I've made certain that I was part of that conversation, to look at the economics of it, to look at the educational side of it. To Mr. Boyko's point, we do Skype. I've taken advantage of that. My business has been travel part of the year. And so we Skype regularly at meetings, and it's been a great way to participate on a regular basis.
Thank you. We will move on to the next question, and I'll open it up to all of the Democratic Party. Whoever would like to answer. How can you, as a board member, increase communication and collaboration with our mayor and board of aldermen regarding program sustainability and improvements? And it's open to anyone.
I'll start.
Thank you.
Go on.
I realize it's down.
None of you had a chance.
I'll go to the light instead. I think we have. I think we have. The board has tried very hard by inviting board of aldermen. I know Mrs. Joel is full day pay. We try to get the board of aldermen to get involved with that. When we sit down and teacher negotiations, we invite the board of aldermen. Whether they choose to attend, that's certainly their purview. We have tried very hard. I know our superintendent has tries very hard to meet with the mayor on a weekly, daily basis. And there's an old saying, you need a horse and water, but you can't make him drink. So it's difficult, to communication's a two-way street. And we can do all the talking we want, but if someone's not going to communicate back to us, that makes it very difficult. So I think the board as a whole, the present board, has tried very hard to increase that communication. And I think it's up to the aldermen now to use that as one of their focuses.
Thank you. I will actually open it up to the Republican Party now. Ms. Catherine Walsh.
Okay. All right. Don't start timing me yet. I just want to say that we do try and work on a better communication and constant communication with the mayor and the board of aldermen. The one thing, Chairman Holden did appoint me to the ad hoc chairmanship for the kindergarten, and we had our work set out, and I will tell you that the mayor and I had several discussions, and he really wasn't for it, and the aldermen, half of them were and half of them weren't, and we worked out a plan, and in that plan, my goal was to bring them right to see what was going on. And we did that, and we organized this bus trip where the aldermen came, and we went, and the mayor and the superintendent, and we spent a good half day at Bungay School, and I think that's where it all changed. And I'm very proud to say that I did get the mayor and he gave in, and that was a major feat for me as far as I'm concerned, but we worked on it very hard.
The same question, I'll go to the Democratic Party, Ms. Pack.
That's a very good question. And it's a very complicated answer. This board is, I think, is very transparent. And we try to communicate on a regular basis. Our superintendent of schools asks for meetings, and he wishes to be heard. He goes there with information on the budget, and very often he's not able to be seen. So what are we going to do about it? Well, it's a very good question. We just have to keep on keeping on. We put it out there, and we just have to hope and keep working and keep driving. And hopefully, our words will land on their ears.
In terms of increased communications or better communications with City Hall, The first thing that you should know is that our new superintendent, Dr. Chris Collette, is a very easy person to get along with. And he's already had one meeting with the mayor, and my understanding is that the meeting went reasonably well. The fact is, it is a bit of a challenge, and part of the problem with that is the things that we want to do aren't free. Okay? It costs money, and holding down costs is a key core value for the mayor and the Board of Aldermen. And on the one hand, I can't blame it because we all like low taxes, but on the other hand, we have to look at what's a good investment.
What we need also is to see the Board of Aldermen at Board of Education meetings. We have attended many Board of Aldermen meetings to present our concerns. We don't see them as often at our meetings. We have done what we could to, I'm surprised you didn't take this, streamline the budget book so that they can understand. But every year we get asked the same inane questions that have nothing to do with the figures in front of them. And they need to be more educated and come to our meetings too.
Thank you. Anyone else from the Republican Party to answer the question? Anyone else from the Democratic Party would like to answer the question? We move on.
Okay, so this one we'll be open up to the Republicans first. What will you do to ensure that Shelton teachers are provided with leadership opportunities necessary to advance their career?
We have started a couple of different programs to bring teachers up through the ranks. And we've been able to bring folks to a certain level. The reality is that when we go to hire folks, this board has taken an opinion that we hire the best person possible. And unfortunately, right at the moment, our folks are about that much short of that next step because we don't have an opportunity for on-the-ground leadership in the facility. We've had one assistant principal in my time on the board. We've tried to put that into the budget on several occasions. It does cost money. There's a reality to that because it costs money to fill the teaching slot and to pay the person to take that assistant principal's slot. So we have to find ways to get creative to give our folks actual on-the-ground experience, and we're going to work towards that.
Thank you. Anyone from the Democratic side?
I just want to make a comment on that because in all the years that I've been on the board, I have to honestly say, and I know I talk with my colleagues throughout Fairfield County, when budgets get tight, in many cases, professional development is the first thing to get cut amongst teaching ranks, as is maintenance and so on and so forth. And this board has always tried very hard to not go there. And we have always tried to enable whatever professional development we can for teachers and staff and administrators. I'm not aware, and maybe I could be wrong, that we've ever denied a particular administrator or teacher, as long as it's been relevant to what it is that they're doing, teaching, whatever the case may be. So we have always tried very hard to make sure that our teachers are very well trained and very well educated. And as to Mr. Apple's point, since I've been in the school system, we have always tried, and we've tried to market all different ways to get some other leadership positions, because with the new mandates that we're up against, it's very difficult to, with the teacher evaluation program.
Thank you.
I truly feel that we do have wonderful leaders and potential administrators for our school system. We've discussed the board collectively, and we are looking to, our goal is to eventually get an administrative, an assistant principal in maybe the two large elementary schools to start. I think that would give them that little bit that Mr. Apple said, that they are just almost there. And I think that would also help provide our administrators who are facing all those evaluations and all that paperwork. I think that would also give them the help that they need if we started with 2 elementaries, the largest ones, which would be Elizabeth Shelton and Long Hill.
Yes.
As Kathy said, we've got the needs in our schools. We've talked about where to start. We have an administrative intern program that we started last school year. We've expanded it this year, and each time we do the budget, we're pushing for those assistant principal positions. Even if we start, as Kathy said, with 1 or 2 schools, we'll keep trying.
Anyone from the Republican side?
I really don't think you see any political divide on this issue. We have some terrific people in our district, and certainly tie will go to the local candidate. But we need to hire the best people we can because our students deserve that.
Yeah, go ahead. Ms. Fairfax?
I'd just like to point out that I agree with Mr. Roberts' point. We do have that little bit that they just don't quite have to get to that next level. And as Mrs. Village said, we are really looking hard on filling that gap for them. So to answer your question, my feeling is it's in progress. And just another thing that you'll know, we do work together as a board. It's a very cohesive board and probably on it.
Dr.
This is something that has been very close to my heart for many years. And I know I'm very glad to hear that people on the board are examining this program, the leadership programs, because I think it has room for improvement. How many of the people sitting in the audience had principal that went through leadership before they were principal of your school? Right now, the state regulations are so strict in order to get certified that I'm not even sure that you need a leadership program. Perhaps you need to give leadership activities. I hope if I get on the board that I have an opportunity to examine this very closely and to speak about the wonderful teachers that we have in our system who already have 6-year degrees in administration, who have to go outside the system to get their activities.
Thank you. Anyone from the Democrats? Yes, Mr. Robinson?
I work at a school of 800 kids that has 1 principal and 2 assistant principals. Every year at budget time, everybody says, well, can't we get rid of one of the assistant principals? And after examining that, they always say, no, we can't. These administrators cannot do their jobs, especially with the new evaluation process. There's just not enough bodies to do all the hours of observations, write up the materials. So I think it would be very important for Shelton to develop assistant principals. I've seen many of those assistant principals in our building move on to principals either in district or out of district.
Yes, Mr. Olden?
Just to share one fact, of the 4 grammar school principals that have been appointed recently, 1 was an in-house promotion, the other 3 were not. So we do have folks, she came out of central office, so there wasn't leadership out that way.
Would anyone from the Democrats like to say anything further? Anyone from the Republicans? Okay.
So next question. Computer-based standardized testing has been expanding, taking up the limited resources available in our school libraries, turning them into testing centers rather than centers of inquiry-based learning. What technological improvements, if any, are needed in schools? And we will start with the Democratic Party.
I'll take this. That's her
I served for 6 years on the citywide technology committee, and after we passed the referendum for $2.5 million, which I served on the building committee, and it was a joint committee, not just board members, citywide. John Ingles, who was an alderman, was very instrumental on that committee also. We saw it coming down the pike as far as testing is concerned, but we're at a point like now, this was 7 years ago that we passed that referendum, 6, 7 years ago, we're at a point right now, and we've had conversations with the alderman, with Mr. Anglaise, superintendent, about getting more technology in our schools because we have those new computers and thin clients that we had are now 7 years old. So we've got to embark upon that and move forward. So that would be an initiative for this board, along with a strategic plan to go move forward with it.
Thank you. Mr. Markleman?
One of the things that we have started doing, and I'd like to see us do more, and it was actually very popular with the board when we first heard about it, is the virtual high school. This is a program where students can take classes over the internet and allows them access to programs that there just aren't enough kids that are interested in our school. So, for example, one of my interests is astronomy. Well, if you're interested in astronomy, virtual high school will have a class on that. If you're interested in another topic that maybe there's only one other student or no other students in the state that are interested, there may be a class on that available. And this opens up more opportunities to our students, and it's very cost effective because the local teacher doesn't have to be an expert in the topic that's being covered. There's a long-distance expert.
Thank you.
Can you repeat your question again?
The question was, computer-based standardized testing has been expanding, taking up the limited resources available in our school libraries, turning them into testing centers rather than centers of inquiry-based learning. What technological improvements, if any, are needed in schools? Would you like to answer?
Well, again, I haven't, my kids have long gone from the school system, but computer-based testing is being used nationwide for a variety of things. Companies use it to screen employees. So I don't think we're going to get away from that. However, you're right about the libraries have got to be a focus for research and for other technologies. So we do need to make sure that we provide adequate space within the system to accommodate both things.
Thank you. And Ms. Kathy Lilish?
I think that the first thing we need to do is probably look for some bonding to improve our infrastructure because nothing has been done since I retired in 2006. So it's about 9 years old, and we really have I think our system is failing us. We really need to update everything. So I guess we really would have to work with our board of aldermen and mayor to see if possibly we could find out to improve that.
Thank you. Someone from the Democratic Party? Ms. Tash?
One thing that needs to be done is look at classrooms in use throughout the building that aren't being used for testing and see if there's some way that there are other computers that can be moved to those locations so that the libraries aren't constantly being used. So maybe a study of facilities we have and relocating the testing sites.
Thank you. Dr. Order?
Thanks. As you can tell, I really am passionate about everything in school. I think libraries should be one of our hubs of learning, and that every classroom and every student should have more access to them. And I think we need to fund and staff libraries a lot more than what I see in there now. I also think that we need to have a maintenance and a replacement schedule so that books are updated, the technology is updated. Having just retired just a couple of years ago, I can tell you that the thin line computers didn't work. Most of the time, you were lucky if one child got on. And here's thousands and thousands of dollars. When we look at our budget and our finance and fiscal responsibility, we need to revamp that money and put it where our students are showing need for today's world and for the 21st century. And as far as testing is concerned, I think there's too much of it.
Mr. Noble?
Let's try to be bold. Let's take a look at an opportunity that other districts across this country have had, and that's to use tablets for learning where you can have pop-up screens and embedded videos. It would solve your testing problem because every kid would have an opportunity to take a test at their desk. I think that's the direction that this board has to move in over the next several years.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Would anyone else like to comment on the question? Okay, thank you. We'll move on.
Okay, so this question will be open to the Republicans first. Are you aware that the board adopted a nepotism policy in July of 2012? If elected, would you be willing to revisit the governing regulations of the policy?
It's not the first nepotism policy, and what is it about the policy objective?
It doesn't say specifically.
Well, I'd like to know why you think we should just revisit it.
I'm not the one that came up with the question.
I mean, I agree that I think in the last 10 years that I've been on board, we have looked to hire the best and the brightest staff for all positions without regard to familiar relationships. And I can't say that that's been truthful for the last 40 or 50 years of this district. But I would, you know, if you want to tighten it, that's fine.
The policy committee always revisits policies when they're brought before us with concerns. So I think for it to come before us with a specific concern would be what we need to do here. We are in the process. We have received feedback from the state that in the coming months we're going to be looking at all the policies in our policy book, and certain ones are being recommended to us for revision. So we'll see if it comes up there as well.
Thank you. Mr. Oldham?
I believe that where this question was probably aimed is last year we had a teacher who was moved out of a building because two teachers within a building got married. And the concern is if you have two teachers within the same family within a building, that causes a problem. That's certainly something that could be discussed, and you know, maybe it is, maybe it isn't a problem. But that was apparently something that was a concern when the current policy was put in force.
Thank you. Anyone from the Democrats?
I'll just add to that a little bit. A few years back, maybe 2 or 3, in addition to the nepotism policy, I remember when I first got elected on the board, used to hear random things said about nepotism within the city of Shelton. And one of the things I know we changed on our application process is we did put a box on there, are you related to anyone in the Shelton School District? Which I think is a good thing to see because at least it's full disclosure. And I think it's important for any good organization, no matter where you go, many times you'll see that on any application that you should apply to a company. So that's just another little caveat that we added for full disclosure purposes.
Thank you. Yes, Kathy English.
With regard to Mr. Holden's statement, I think that married teachers can work in a building as long as they're not being supervised and they're in the same department, and they don't have these like they wouldn't have their administrator be their spouse. And that could be a possibility. However, I know that in the case of in the case that Mr. Holden was talking about, we also have had staff members that have gotten married after meeting in schools, and they're still working in the same school. So I think that policy probably we really need to revisit it, and as long as we do it with a good conscience and probably really check out what the new mandates are from our Connecticut Board of Education.
Thank you. Would anyone from the Democrats like to comment? Anyone else from the Republicans? Thank you. Oh, yeah, Mr. Minotti?
Yeah, thank you for not missing me. Yes, I think that the policy has to be revisited. I agree with Kathy and also with Mark, but you know, it does take that opportunity where people But as long as they're in different departments, they're not evaluating each other, what's the difference? If they're highly educated and they're there to teach the children, what's the difference if they're married? As long as they adhere to the policies of the school, period. As well as the Board of Education, obviously, because we're the ones that make the policy.
Thank you. Anyone from the Democrats?
I just want to say I agree with what they said. I don't want to be left out.
Thank you. Anyone else from the Republicans? Okay.
We'll start with Democrats. What are your feelings on adding a student and teacher liaison position to the Board of Education? What are your feelings on adding a student and teacher liaison position to the Board of Education?
We tried this once. We brought this up several years ago when I was on the policy committee. And at the time, it didn't go very far. I'm all for it. I think it's a great additional thought process into the board. We had a lot of discussion at the policy level as to who should they have a vote, should they not have a vote. And this is probably 10 years ago. I remember Madeline Smith was the chairman of policy at the time. And it never went anywhere because we had several board members at the time who did not favor it. So it kind of just died in committee at the time. So we did look at it, and maybe it should be revisited again. Many boards do have.
Thank you. Mr. Minardi?
Definitely. And again, to echo what Arlene said, we did try, and I think it's very important to have a student liaison as well as a teacher. Forget about the vote, but it's the idea of dissemination of information and communication. And if the students can go back to their peers and communicate what they've heard and what they've acted on, it makes it a more positive educational experience.
Thank you. Ms. Kutash?
In Stratford, where I teach, each of the high schools has a representative to the Board of Education that report each month on activities at the schools. I don't know if they have a vote or not, but I would definitely be in favor of this representation because it gets us closer to them. I know I've been appointed as a liaison to the teachers, a board member liaison to the teachers, and I enjoy that opportunity when it comes along to hear what their concerns are.
Thank you. Mr. Holden?
Giving them a vote is clearly out of the question because it would be a violation of our charter and the law because we are elected officials and that's what gives us the vote. Possibly a student could run for the Board of Education if they met the other requirements. Certainly, well, a teacher couldn't run because you can't serve on the board if you're an employee. So that would be a conflict there. So I don't see how you could give them a vote. I would not object to the concept of allowing them a voice at the table, and certainly anybody is encouraged to attend our meetings and go back and spread the word. One other quick point I will mention. Earlier this evening it was mentioned that it would be a great idea to get our meetings on video on the internet. We may have it start with tomorrow night's meeting, but last I knew the equipment had not arrived. It was ordered like weeks ago.
Thank you. Ms. Anne?
I think it's a wonderful idea. First of all, of course, I'm going to commend you, people with JSA. I mean, we've seen you in various places now, and it's really a pleasure. And that's the kind of involvement I would like to see. I would invite you to every board meeting if you could stand it, that is. But I think, and teachers, I mean, I think this is as many teachers as I've seen in a while. So I would love to have the teachers come too, and they should have a voice. Why not? So why don't you guys just look something up and bring it to us? No, I think it's a very good idea. We need more communication with everybody.
Thank you. Ms. Yolish?
I just want to say that the board, all of us work for kids first and teachers and staff, and wouldn't it make sense to have them involved? in the process, not necessarily with a vote, as Mr. Holman pointed out, but to have them there so that they could give us input. I like listening to teachers. That's why I like to go into schools and volunteer, because I see what's going on and I hear what's going on, and I can also bring those concerns back. But I would love to have you come and give us your input as well.
Thank you.
If I just want to add a comment, we are, the local Board of Education, every local Board of Education is an arm of the State Board of Education. We are not an arm of the municipality, but of the State Board of Education. And the State Board of Education has 2 appointed students, high school students. So that's an area you might want to look at. It would take our state representatives to recommend you, but our State Board of Education does have students on their board.
Thank you. Mr. Apple?
I would remind everyone here that almost all of our meetings include a public portion where the public, whether it's a student or a staff member or resident taxpayer, is invited to come forward and comment on items on the agenda, and to have that kind of conversation start. It doesn't become a conversation at that point, but issues that are raised at the public portion tend to find themselves on agendas of committees where much of the work is done, and you would be invited to come to that as well. So come on down.
Thank you. Anyone from the Democrats would like to speak? Anyone from the Republicans? Any opposing question?
Okay, so this one will be opened up to the Republicans first, and it's fairly lengthy, but teachers are concerned that their supervisors do not have adequate time to devote to support their continued development and implementation of the numerous initiatives required by the district, the state, and the national government. Specifically, the evaluation system has been incredibly time intensive. What would your level of commitment be to the addition of school administrators to alleviate the increased demand on their time? So,
they're absolutely correct. The mandates that are foisted upon us, because this is not an evaluation process that we created. Some of us didn't necessarily endorse it. Some of us don't necessarily believe we have to follow it, although I think we're kind of in a box in that situation, because the guy with the money is the guy who says you got to enforce it. So I think we have to find ways to bring more administrative staff to the evaluation process. And again, whether we do it with assistant principals or teacher leaders, I mean, there's a lot of different mechanisms to go through it. It's money though, folks. And at the end of the day, the general public is going to have to understand that this is a critical piece. They're going to say, well, it doesn't touch kids, it doesn't make kids smarter. So we're kind of caught in a bit of a quandary there.
thank you. Anyone from the Democrats who would like to comment? Yes, Mr. Robinson?
I would absolutely support assistant principals to help with the evaluation process. And I think the lack of administrators does touch kids, because principals are spending so much time evaluating their staff that they're not getting to know their students the way they were before. They're not making the connections with their students the way they were before, because they simply don't have time for it. And I think that they do need, our building administrators definitely need help from assistant principals to help with the evaluation process.
Dr.
Thank you. I think there's 2 levels, 2 answers for this question. The first one deals with the state itself. We have the right as Board of Ed members and teachers to approach the state and say to them, too many initiatives is too divisive to teaching and learning, and we need to put a stop on that. I understand we're piloting 3 different math programs, plus we're still doing the old math program. Now, if you have more than 1 child in the school system, which way are you going to teach your child those functions? I think we need to limit that, and as a board, maybe we need to make suggestions and do what we can to do that, and we also need to take a stance at the state level. Because the people at the state level, having been there myself, they're open to what you say. I've approached the state board many times, and you can say to them, the evaluation process is too cumbersome. This is a really important issue. But
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, is it?
That's all right, I've heard it said all kinds of ways. I want to piggyback on what Adam Robinson said, because being a teacher, I see it, administrators trying to cram in all their evaluations and their observations and their pre-conference and their post-conference, and they don't get to know the kids. And the kids that they get to know are the kids whose names they're going to know for not good reasons, and the nice kids never get to know them. And they need to be able to be there to celebrate the successes of the kids, like you guys. And so get them out of the paperwork.
We have tried to address this as best as we can on a bang-for-the-buck basis. We do have our administrative interns, and this year I believe we are going to be bringing in some retired administrators on a per diem basis. It's not anywhere near a complete solution, but it is a start. Bringing in a complete set of assistant principals for the elementary schools is going to cost $600,000. I'd love to do it. I'm not going to take teachers out of the classroom to do it. Thanks.
Anyone from the Democrats who would like to comment on this question?
Well, yeah. Mark said it and Wynn said it. It's all about money. It always is here in Shelton in education. It's the whipping boy. It's always bad. The Board of Education puts in hours putting together a budget book, which is pretty much ignored. And until there's a change in attitude towards education, nothing's going to change here.
I think that we could possibly look, revisit the evaluation system, because I know in other area communities, in Shelton, our teachers have 7 walkthroughs, and and then they have an evaluation, and I think that for I think that we could reduce that. I think some area towns have only 3 walkthroughs. I think that if you've gone through the walkthroughs, I mean, experienced teachers, they know what they're doing. New teachers, they might need some guidance. So I really think we could revisit that, and I think, hopefully, I hope in time we can. That's my opinion.
Thank you. Anyone from the Democrats would like to comment?
It's more of an observation on my part, and having a daughter who is a fairly new teacher, 3 years she's been teaching. She teaches in Hopkinton, Mass, not here in Connecticut, although she's certified in Connecticut also. I remember her saying to me how her principal was in her classroom, as other new teachers, almost daily for a while there. And the issue, I think, with new teachers is they really need to have someone to mentor them. That's very important, and if an administrator certainly doesn't have the time to do it, maybe perhaps we need to do something differently in making a stronger mentor program, a buddy system, whatever it takes to take some of that, and it would dovetail on perhaps on the evaluation system, because there's just too much for particularly a new teacher. It's very time effective for an administrator, because he or she has to be there to overlook that. And in Shelton, let me just say one more thing. We tend to look at our teachers before they reach tenure rather.
Thank you. Anyone from this, Mr. Minogue?
Thank you. Keep it off. They don't want me to talk. Again, I've been on that side of the fence where, as an administrator in the city of Bridgeport, I had 50 teachers to observe, evaluate, along with new teachers. The new teachers were the ones that needed my time. They had to get acclimated to the school, to the curriculum, to the policies of the school. It's not an easy job, and my hats go off to our principals and teachers, because I don't know how they're going to be able to go through the school with all these walk-ins and do a real good concrete evaluation. You need a pre-conference, you need a post-conference, and then you have to make time for every conversation in between. How can you be effective if you don't have the assistants to help you? Plus the fact, what is the responsibility of the principal? Isn't the principal supposed to be the leader of the school on top of everything?
Thank you.
It appears that we're in agreement on this question, that we really need to do something to mitigate this problem. And I think we're starting to work on it. We can't hire assistant principals across the board, and we know the reason why. But we just have to get in there and keep on fighting for it, because it's necessary. We don't see how this evaluation process is going to take place.
Anyone from the Republicans who would like to comment?
One time for closing statement.
Anyone from the Democrats? Okay, so now I think we're going to open up questions to the audience. So if anyone from the audience has a question that they would like one of the candidates to answer.
I think I want to see the game.
Hi, I'm Zach Chalet. I asked this at the mayoral debate, and that was the wrong place to ask it. But what would you do regarding club funding? Because as you guys probably know, we literally don't have that much. And a lot of the clubs that we have are national clubs, and we take a lot of trips. And a lot of kids can't pay for those trips because they're so expensive.
Okay, club funding is a bit of a tough one because, as you might have gotten a little bit of an inclination, funding tends to be an issue on the Board of Ed level. On the other hand, in another life, I was very active in the JCs on the state level, and one of the things that I was in charge of was management for the state. And I can give you some ideas for fundraisers that you can do to help raise some money for your funds. Quick tip, if you do candy bar sales, candy bars are ordered by people who like almonds and purchased by people who like crunch bars.
Then Mark will buy a case.
Yes, dentist love him.
I have a question.
Well, I want to answer that. Go ahead, Dave. I think it's
It's been my understanding through past experience that students can be subsidized by their schools and not be left out. Now, it may not be just the clubs, but it may be different trips or class trips. There is funding there in various places that students should not be left out.
Well, one of the sources that you need to tap early and to make a connection with is our industries that are out there. We have a wonderful mentor program, and they came in and helped our kids forever and ever with all kinds of things. And if you make a liaison with some of our local businesses, you will find donations coming your way to do that. You have to just match your club up to what their kind of mission or their focus is, and I'll give you a help on that. Plus all of those things you can sell. But mostly it's the government connection between the industries.
Hopefully your club can get some support, maybe from some of the political groups who are coming.
Thank you. Mr. Priscilla?
I think that perhaps you can do a boot job like they do for the firemen, and because it seems to be very successful. But the other thing is maybe you could we could adopt some students. I mean, We do it at the church. We adopt students to go on a certain kind of trip. Maybe we could chip in. Or another thing is, I know all of our schools have dress down days. Perhaps a school could adopt a club to have a dress down day for to help maybe give a scholarship to some of the students, or to help, defer the cost.
In a galaxy far, far away and a long time ago, Miss Keller and I were part of a Shelton High School group that raised enough money to send over 200 kids and their parents to California to march in the Rose Bowl. So this community is very giving. Identify your needs, ask, ask, ask.
Don't give up.
Anyone else before we move on to the next question?
You really have a question for Mrs. Rosen? It's on. All right, my question is about the evaluations. Fortunately, I retired before this all started, because I retired in '89. But you say you have 7 walkthroughs? All right, who decided how many walkthroughs? And how can you change that?
Based on a discussion I had with some of our Shelton administrators recently, Shelton wrote their own breed of this new state evaluation system, and that is where the number of walkthroughs originated. I'm in a district that follows the state, and as an experienced educator, I have 3 walkthroughs in our system. They call them informals. So I think the Shelton plan that has been approved by the state to go with the state's, what they call the seed model, is Shelton's numbers. So it needs to come back to administration to be revisited.
I'd just like to say, it has been reduced, Bonnie, from 10. There were 10 walkthroughs, and now, yes, it has been modified this year for 7. So maybe next year it'll go down to 5.
And it's not only disruptive for teachers, it is for the students. Can you imagine your class and then all of a sudden a cadre of people coming in with clipboards saying, what are you doing? What are you doing? And all the little kids, especially primary grades, going, I'm doing what my teacher told me. And that's the right answer, but it doesn't go according to the clipboard. It is extremely disruptive, and it definitely cuts the continuity of the teaching and learning connection. So that has to definitely be looked at. And I'm hoping that maybe the union will be able to do something on that too. Well, there are some things that are contractual, so, the Board of Ed has to work within those contracts.
Well, maybe with all the new administrators, you can revisit.
Anyone else like to answer the question?
I would just like to know who put the 10 in place. What group of people was this?
It's a subcommittee of various parties in the school system, administrators, teachers.
It was a collaborative effort that created this so that we could get a plan that was approved that wasn't necessarily waiting for the state to happen. So it can be fluid. It's a plan that we presented. It's a plan that we can have an opportunity to resubmit. Now, remember, we don't approve, we submit it. So, right.
As we call it, it's a moving process.
Does anyone else have a question?
Not a question, it's just a suggestion. One of you fine people are going to be the chairman of the Board of Education. From past experience, there's not been significant communication between City Hall, Aldermen, and the Board of Ed. I would suggest that the new chairman appoint somebody to go to automatic meetings and report back and see if you can get from the Board of Aldermen a responsible alderman to come to the Board of Ed meetings and then report back to the alderman. And that way you have a degree of communications from day one to when your budget gets submitted to them, so that there's ongoing awareness of what happens on both sides, which hadn't always been the case. Thank you.
Does anyone else have a question?
I have a question. So I noted that there are a lot of budget difficulties and that there's two main problems with assistant principals and the lack of technology. I just want to ask, what are your priorities in the fact of terms of budget in both situations? I know that as a student, there are many problems with technology. I know we just received many Chromebooks, but again, in libraries, we're lacking the necessities and the resources in the terms of computers in libraries, but we are also definitely lacking assistant principals and help for teachers. I just want to know your priorities, though, in the budget situation.
Yes, Mr. Ogle?
Let's do the math first, and then you can tell us kind of how it ends up. We have a $69.5 million budget. $68 million of that is salaries, benefits, and fixed cost. So we talk about $1.5 million of some kind of flexibility. Now, at the end of the day, the Chromebooks, the thin clients, all of those tend to be capital ideas. So what we can do is we can ask the city to get on board to do that. We haven't yet got one for each student, and yet we do have some conversations with them that are not always understood, that you're talking about 6, 7, and 8-year-old products. And I don't think there's anybody in this room who's got a 6, 7, or 8-year-old computer. Computers have gone from large fixed devices to disposables. So technology would be a push. Assistant principals probably are going to have a better chance.
Thank you. Anyone from the Democrats would like to comment?
I think a lot of that also comes down to, we're not just electing Board of Education here, we're electing Board of Aldermen also. And Board of Aldermen are the fiscal authority of the city. And they are the ones who make the fiscal determination. Obviously, the mayor submits a budget and he comes up with a number he's going to give us. And then it's supposed to go through a process between the Board of AT and the Board of Aldermen. And if they do not align themselves with our focus or our ideals, it goes nowhere. The general public is also responsible somewhat, because we as a whole in this community, we all live in this community and love this community, have to say to ourselves, you know what, we want more in public education. We want more dollars towards education. And I think this board will do whatever we can to be very conservative in the way we spend that money, and certainly listen to the needs of all our constituents as far as that's concerned. But it's a community effort, and we all are responsible. So we have to get to our Board of Aldermen too, and get in their ears.
Thank you. Mr. Gould?
Actually, I'll disagree with Lynn a little bit. I think that technology is more likely to happen sooner. And part of the reason for that is because there is some state grant money that is available for that. And so a year or so ago, we got something like 750 Chromebooks that didn't cost the district a dime. Also, the city does have the ability to bond for technology, and they have shown more willingness to put money into bonded projects than into our general budget. Because if it's in the general budget, then they have to give it to us next year too. It becomes part of the rollover, okay? The reality is, in terms of prioritizing, we're going to go for anything we can get, okay? It's as simple as that. We want assistant principals. I believe I probably do speak for everyone here, because we've shown the district needs them. We want more technology too.
Yes.
It was previously stated that we have to look at the aldermen I think the people voting need to look for aldermen who are free thinkers. Alderman McGorty proved she was a free thinker and thought on her own by supporting our push for full-day kindergarten, and she probably took a lot of flack for it. We need the voters to look at alderman candidates who will support the Board of Education.
Dr.
I really think student needs have to come first. We are here as the Board of Ed to help foster needs for the kids. The administrators, we do need them, but we can just massage. That's organization. They're already there. They exist. What do we have? If you have nothing for the students, then we have to start there. You need to have this kind of resource in order to make it at college at the higher levels. And even if you aren't college bound, everything is computerized out there. You need to cover the students' needs first. That's my position on
Thank you. Anyone from the Democrats would like to comment?
that. Oh, and we need infrastructure.
We have all this technology, but if we don't have the workers, the updated work, it's not gonna be good.
Anyone else would like to comment? Yes, Pat?
I agree the students' needs do come first, but I don't think we can separate the students from the teachers. So I think we have to work in both camps. So in terms of having teacher evaluations, training our principals, and having all that run smoothly, we can then, it will filter down and it will end up being an advantage to the students.
Thank you. Anyone else from the Republicans who would like to comment?
We want to thank you all so very much for coming tonight. We appreciate it. We have teachers there. I want to thank the audience also. And I'm very happy with this. I think it was a very productive evening. We thank you for all of your opinions and your answers, and obviously good luck on election day.
Closing statements, real quick. Right down the table, 30 seconds. Say one more thing, one last thing if you want.
Let's start with Mr. Oak.
It's going to be a challenge. It's been a challenge. We've survived. We've excelled. I think we'll go back.
I just certainly hope that, you know, the voters, see what they want and vote for them. Up to the voters, no matter what.
Okay. I feel we have to use our monies to go towards endeavors of students and teachers' needs and not just top-heavy administration.
I simply want to say thank you, especially to the two moderators. I believe when you came forward for this statesman,
Junior Student America.
I was so happy to see that finally you're taking the initiative going forward for the government. Hopefully someday we might see you in the legislature. But again, you are a prime example of what we stand for. The education of the students and giving you the opportunity to do just what you're doing. That's all I can say. But again, I think teacher, as far as the board goes, I don't think we ever took a back step when it came to resources for the students and for the teachers. However, I think we still need assistant principals or some form of administrators to help our teachers, especially with the evaluation.
Thank you.
I want to thank you, and I have to say, you know why, because you were a former student of mine. And Mary, I am as you can tell, my passion is still there. I am very much for it, and I will not stop that. So if I'm on board, I'll be there, and I'll expect you to come.
Thank you.
And I'm very proud of you.
Thank you.
2 thumbs up. Well, I just want to...
Terrific things in education in Shelton. If you look, we have many fantastic student clubs. We have teachers who are delivering results that are far beyond what you would expect with the kind of budget we have to work with. There are only 10 districts in the state that spend less than us on a per-pupil basis. And the fact that we are well into the top half is a fantastic testimony of the effort that our teachers, administrators, and yes, Board of Ed members put into this, because we love it. It's fun for us to try to make a difference. Thank you.
I was very impressed with the professionalism and how the forum was run, so thank you for putting this together, and thanks for everybody for coming out. And I've always been impressed. I've been going to Board of Ed meetings for about 6 months now, and I've just always been impressed with how everyone works together so well on the board, and I would love to be a part of it as well. So I look forward to hopefully being a member sometime. So thank you.
First of all, I just want to say thank you to everybody for coming out, and also any of the audience members, because I think it's important to know who the candidates are. In a recent TV thing I was watching with one of the people running for president said, if you want to know what a candidate is all about or stands for or will do in the future, look back at what they've done. And I think that's somewhat of an important attribute and value to that candidate. Because it proves that they've been active and certainly have what's important at heart as far as that's concerned. But regardless of who you all decided to vote for, the important thing is you do vote. I hold that very dearly, near and dear to myself, having run for multiple campaigns and state representative and so on and so forth. And I ran for state because of some of the mandates that are passed down to Board of Educations that certainly I wanted to be able to try and change. Unfortunately, I didn't make it. But that's neither here nor there. So please vote. That's most important.
Thanks to JSA and SEA for running this. There's a lot of experience at this table, a lot of educational experience in the education field. That's where my experience is. I love my job. I have a passion about education. Like so many of us, I hope to continue to be able to do it.
First of all, again, thank you. Everyone's thanked you, and I certainly thank you for the bottom of my heart. You represent the school, by the way, and your parents extremely well. And thank you for the rest of you for showing up here. I want to tell you that I am very proud to be a member of this Board of Education. The people that are on it work extremely hard. We work well together. I find us nonpartisan because I don't believe there's any room for politics in our Board of Education, in our school system. So, and I wish to remain on this board. I wish to continue to advocate for student achievement, and I also wish to continue to advocate for respect for our teachers and administrators.
I also want to thank JSA and SEA for hosting this forum. It's important that the public gets to know who the candidates are. For me, it's all about academics and the kids, that we give them the absolute best education that we possibly can. Unfortunately, we have to do it within the financial constraints that we're given. And this board has demonstrated in the past that they put that first. And if I'm elected, I will continue that.
I'd also like to thank JSA and SEA for organizing this tonight and everybody who came out. I'd just like to say that I firmly believe that we should be measuring the achievement of our schools, not just on test scores, but also on the different types of programs that are offered for our students.
Okay, thank you for everyone who came to